is saying that they might not win more than one more game this season. At 2-5, they have seen a large number of injuries this season and may even be down to their third-string quarterback this week. Fox Sports NFL analyst Eric Dickerson joining us now. Eric, first of all, you look great. Congrats to the Dodgers. I know you're happy about that win, but I got to ask you about the Cowboys. What's the biggest reason for their collapse?
Well, I think the biggest reason is offensive line. I mean, I think a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into an offensive line, especially if you don't know football. You pick the guys outside, the quarterback, and the receivers make up a football team. But you start with your offensive line. Offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys has been decimated. I mean, I think they're playing with their third-string backups. The right tackle's gone. The center retired. Another thing is you don't have any OTA. You have no preseason. You don't get a chance to know your head coach. Your head coach and get a chance to know you, know the offense. It's just a lot of problems over there right now. But the main thing really is the offensive line. I mean, and people ask me, oh, man, how does Zeke look? I mean, Zeke looks bad now. I said, look, it's not Zeke. I've been in that same situation. When you don't have the guys up front, I don't care how great you are, how big you are, how fast you are. If those guys aren't blocking, you can't run. People have a tendency to forget that those are pros on the other side of that ball also. So they're there to stop you. But that's why, for me, when I had great offensive linemen, I would always buy them gift. I mean, I think that's important. I mean, the little money I was making, I was most definitely going to give it to my offensive line. I really believe the problem right there is the offensive line.
I think the collapse, I think they brought into the hype. There's too many excuses, ED. I mean, look, nobody had OTAs. Nobody had mini camps. Everybody had abbreviated training camps. Nobody had preseason games. Basically, everything was Zoom meetings and walkthrough. And this is no excuse. And you look at the defense, okay, Clinton Dix was a big signing. Skip loved that signing. He couldn't even make it out of training camp. Decide Everson Griffin. He's being traded already.
Why is that? They bucked the system. They said, what you're trying to impose upon us, Mike Nolan, it does not work. And he said, okay, you're gone and you're gone.
Okay, Dontari Poe. I hadn't seen Dontari Poe on the field in at least 2 to 3 games, and if it is, it's for one snap. Gerald McCoy got hurt. So all of the big names that they signed hasn't panned out, and their defense is awful. And we keep blaming. We blame the coach. Because remember last year, ED, it was all about Jason Garrett. Whoa, Jason Garrett. Oh, 8-8 Jason Garrett. He can't motivate. Still, somebody told me Jason Garrett couldn't motivate a bull out of a chute. I was like, what? Skip can't motivate. He said, no. So now they got rid of Jason Garrett. They got rid of Chris Richard. They got rid of Rod Marinelli. They bring in a made man. Skip told me Mike McCarthy, a made man. He made Aaron Rodgers. They got.
I didn't say that. They won a Super Bowl together a decade ago.
Oh, a decade ago. Oh, they got Mike McCarthy, a made man. Now look, it's every single year, ED, we go through this. The Cowboys are supposed to do this. And we evaluate, we look at them, but look at that talent. ED, you've been around, you know it takes more than just talent to win and to win big in this league. The Cowboys are hype. Jerry Jones has been selling them. He does a great job of selling them. But the Cowboys is not nearly as talented, not nearly as good as people make them out to be every single year.
So, I have a question for both of you Hall of Famers. Do you have any idea how hard this is on me, a lifelong Cowboy fan, to be living here in Los Angeles, to have to look at Eric Dickerson wearing a Dodger top, Tommy Lasorda jersey, because they just won the World Series last night. And I'm still having to put up with this man across from me because his LeBron-led Lakers won the championship, the COVID championship, cubic zirconia championship, but it is a championship nonetheless.
Thank you.
And I have to live with it. And the Rams are starting to look like they got a shot. I'm talking to the Ram ambassador here. They're looking pretty good. I know they laid an egg up at San Francisco, but they looked really good against the Bears on Monday night. And now I have to live with the team that is historically, inexplicably, all-time bad. I have never, Mr. Dickerson, seen anything like this in all my years of covering all the sports. Never have I seen it this bad for a team that most prognosticators really liked. consensus pick to win the NFC East, maybe a 5th or 6th choice among the odds makers to win the Super Bowl. I thought it was a pretty talented team. I said 10 wins. You said maybe 9. You gave them maybe 9.
Yep.
They don't even compete. It started with the opening drive on opening Sunday night at SoFi against your Rams, Mr. Rambassador. They just took the ball and drove it right down Dallas's throat, and we're up 7-0. And then here we went. Atlanta comes to Jerry World. They're up 20-0 after a quarter, 29-10 at halftime. At Seattle, my team is down 30-15 in the third quarter. Then here come the Browns, who were on and off. They were still struggling, hit and miss. They're up 41-14 in the third quarter. The Giants, while Dak was still afloat, still upright, still healthy, and the offensive line was still relatively healthy, they trailed the Giants 17-3 early in the second quarter before Andy Dalton finally stole that one back for them. And then Arizona, a Monday night football game, you just quit. You just roll over and play dead. And then you go play your arch rival in Washington, and you quit from the outset. You don't even compete. You're done after a quarter of that game on that run by Antonio Gibson, 12 yards. He just danced into the end zone. Even if it were flag football, they wouldn't have taken his flag. If we could see that, we're seeing it right now. So, Eric, I get what you say about the offensive line, but that's right now. It's decimated. Now they got no shot. Maybe Andy Dalton, maybe Ben DiNucci, the 7th-round rookie at quarterback. Okay, Philly's going to win this game 40-3. But when I look back, they never responded to the 2 new coaches, the head coach or the defensive coordinator. The 2 mics, dropped the mics. I've said from the start, it just didn't work. Somehow, this team mutinied against both of them, rejected all the teaching and coaching on both sides of the ball because this is all-time bad. Worst defense maybe in the history of pro football, and the offense is running away with turnovers. They lead the league by far in turnovers and in turnover margin because they've only taken it away twice. That's the worst. What's going to happen? You're going to get blown out every game, and it has to go back to the coaches because I still see a lot of talent.
Skip, you ain't sure that 40-yard run that Antonio Gibson had first.
It hurts too much.
They do have a lot of talent, and you're right. Think about, man, let's go back to Mike McCarthy. Remember Aaron Rodgers? You know, Aaron Rodgers, they didn't get along up there in Green Bay. You see why. I mean, Mike Nolan, his defense, I mean, it is horrible. I mean, one thing is, players that, when you're on the field, you know what's going on. Sometimes coaches won't listen.
Yep.
Like, I'm serious. Coaches won't, we're like, Shannon, you know, man, we're out here in the battle. We know what's going on. We know what'll work. We know what they're looking at. They're calling the plays before we even run them. I mean, the Cowboys right now, when you hear the players saying, look, these coaches have us unprepared. They don't know what they're doing. You know, that's a bad sign. When you're losing, everything is magnified. When you're winning, I say this all the time. If you're winning, if you came in, threw a bunch of trash on the floor, and the Cowboys right now with 7-0, everybody be like, man, this is how we win. We just a bunch of guys having a good time. But when you're 1-4? When you're 1-4, I mean, 2-4? Yeah. 2-5, 2-5. Man, nobody cares. I mean, well, I take that back. They care about the Cowboys because they are the Cowboys. They expect more out of them. But right now, this team is just, they're not a unit. They're not a good fit for I mean, you got stars over here, you got stars over there. When you don't have Dak, and I said this before, and I know, Shannon, you're not a big Dak fan. I just think Dak's the best thing for the Cowboys. But when you